Patrick and Vera, it has been 2 years since we've seen each other. Vera, we were talking Godzilla, and
Yeah.
Patrick, you and I were in Hawaii. So look at us now. Look at us now.
There you go. Yes.
Go us. One other fun fact about this particular journey for me is one of the very first movies that I covered was Conjuring 1. So I've done all of the movies with you all. I've done all of the, spin-off type stuff. So I kind of look back at these fondly. Vera, I'll start with you. This is a completely different film. Was it more physical for you? It seemed like you got dragged a lot more in this movie than you have in previous versions.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's a few stunts in this one. This was more action-packed for Lorraine. There was some crawling. There's a lot more crawling in this one. There's some dragging and falling moments. There's some run for your life moments. There's some try to escape the person you love the most in life moments. And always, even just physically, I got to tell you, when physically, to me, sometimes the most emotional stuff is the most physically grueling for me. That's the stuff that takes the most out of me. I love running around. I love a good stunt. I love pretending to fall off cliffside. But it's the emotional stuff, like take after take, that really that I find most wearisome.
We're going to have some fun today. Sarah Catherine, start off with the very first question. Are you a fan of scary movies? I will admit that I am chicken.
I loved the delivery of all of that. That was so good. I am a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of The Conjuring. I'm not just saying that because I'm in one, but The Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie holds a very special place in my heart. And definitely was I think my first real scary movie that I loved. So yeah, I'm a fan.
It's good. I had to rewatch Conjuring 1 the other day, and I was already shaking and sleeping with the lights on. So when I see this, I was like, oh, great, here we go. Ruari, same question for you. Are you a fan of scary movies?
I'd say I was a fan of scary movies, but I watched them at such a young age that I've disturbed myself many years ago and don't really get scared of them anymore, which meant it was a real challenge to come on board this and think, would I be scared at all on set? And luckily, the mediocrity of my acting is probably terrifying enough to get me through.
Oh, stop it. You're amazing. No. In fact, I'm going to stay with you, Ruari, because this role had to be extremely challenging for you. I'm going to tell you why, and I'll let you speak on it for just a bit. But you are seriously doing Cirque du Soleil moves in this movie. I mean, your character just, wow. How physical was it for you, Ruari?
I mean, it was immensely physical. I was handcuffed to a bed for days, and I ended up with I've got very skinny wrists and forearms, but I didn't at the end of that. They were swollen beyond belief. And the tears and anguish were very real at that point, which is great. It kind of sorted itself out. On the Cirque du Soleil stuff, I would love to completely claim it. And I really gave it a shot. And I'm sure some of it is me, but there might have been, a professional contortionist that would come in and do a pass, and
here and there.
It looks amazing, and I'm really glad they did that. But I hope you don't give the game away to too many people.
No, we didn't.
I'm master. I didn't have to say that.
If anything, Ruari, people are going, what are they talking about? I've got to see this now. And I was going to give you full credit, Ruari. I was not going to expose that. I was going to let you roll with it, and you have to give it away. Wow, dude, way to go. Hey, Sarah Catherine, along those lines, what is it like to be on a set when you've got some scary things going on around you? Are you thinking in the back of your head, wow, this is going to get them? I can't believe we're doing this. Tell me what it's like when you see everything in place and you're filming a scary scene.
Literally everything you just said. I mostly was just like, I hope this is scary. I really just wanted all of the scenes to be super scary. That was the main concern for those particular scenes. Not all of the scenes, obviously. But yeah, it's funny because given that it was my first movie, I really was just kind of scared on my own, just being in my first movie. That was a huge, intimidating deal. And given that the magnitude of these films, how large this was, that I felt like I didn't have to dip in too much of like just not knowing what was going on and being scared and lost and confused. That was my own doing of being a very green actress. So it was that I guess I could thank that it was my first time being on set like that. So.
Well, you both did an excellent job. And Ruari, if you want to take the act on the road, do it, man. I'm serious. You could be the next Houdini. Who knows?
Could be.
Thank you for your belief there. I really appreciate it.
All right. Michael, great to meet you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to talk to you, Dave.
All right. So no pressure. This is only one of the most anticipated movies of the year. I am waiting for this movie. Tell me what it is like. You don't have to give me your secrets, okay? But I want to know what it's like to direct and deliver a solid horror movie that everyone is excited about.
Honestly, it is. I'm coming at it as a fan first. I love this. I love this franchise. I love The Conjuring. I love the Warrens. This is definitely, this is their darkest story yet. This is a case that really, it takes them into uncharted waters. Up to this point, we've seen, the entire franchise is almost based around these haunted house stories. And with this film, we just blow the doors off the haunted house. It is, it was really exciting to take the Warrens into these kind of new dark places.
Conjuring 1 was one of the first movies that I covered when I started covering these films back in like 2013. So Patrick and Vera, when I talked to them, I was like, we've kind of grown up together. Okay. Here we are on the third one with you. I've done the spinoffs. They reflected back on the characters. You talk about how big of a fan you are. Tell me about your first meeting with James Wan, who also wrote some of this story, if not all.
Yeah, he developed the story. James developed the story with David Leslie Johnson. First meeting with James was, on La Llorona. I owe James my career. Him and New Line hired me for The Curse of La Llorona. And, as I said, as I come to this franchise as a fan, I came to working with him as a fan, and I would, that experience has been, one of just the great honors that I've had. And, up to this point, now it's been years working with him. I would consider him a friend. He's a great filmmaker and also just a great guy. He has a, incredible sensibility for horror and, really just always telling human stories, always anchoring it in the human experience and an emotional experience. Yeah.
Something that I didn't ask you all on the previous movies. By the way, this one scared me more. This is a lot darker than the others. And that's another reason why this one is completely different, I think, than the other ones that we've seen. But Patrick, something I never asked you both. Did you all ever get to meet Lorraine Warren?
Yeah, several times. Yeah, Vera got to be very close with her. And I had many conversations with her. We went up before the first and the second film. And spent a time with her at her house with her and her daughter Judy and her husband Tony Spira. So we've gotten to know them quite well over the years. And it was hard to do this one and not be able to do that because that was we have such different lives and we're always working or spending time. And it's when it starts to focus into you start to shift into. You start growing the sideburns and start kind of gearing up to go into production. That used to be our, all right, let's meet, halfway up and then we drive and show up together and have lunch or whatever we're going to do there. And those are really special moments. So at least we have those. And this was hard to do this one without having her, but at least we got to, Tony and Judy came to set. So that was always helpful. Just to have a piece of the Warrens there was helpful.
I'm just so excited to get to this. And this question in particular, I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to scary movies. When you were researched, but I kind of watched like this, but this one had me more intrigued. I'm kind of like, wow. And the reason is, and this is the question for you, is as you were researching, this is a fascinating story, not giving anything away, but an individual that used a demonic possession as his defense, in a murder case. Now, as you're researching that and going through that, were there points of this story that made you just blew your mind, that were you just kind of like, I can't believe this?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a fascinating case. The movie begins, and the actual story begins with this exorcism of this young child. Arne Johnson was there. The Warrens were there. It's an event that goes horribly wrong, and the fallout of it, reaches throughout the entire story. The Warrens, are changed because of it, and so is Arne, and he's kind of sent on his path, and the case is very fascinating. There's a lot of things in it that, have, they're hard to explain, and I'm coming at it, I was raised Catholic. So I'm a big believer and very susceptible to this stuff. I'm also, very skeptical at the same time. So, I balance the two out, and, with this, there was things that, they become hard to explain. That exorcism that opens the movie, we have a lot of interviews, we have a lot of recordings. We actually have a recording of that exorcism with this young boy. And, when you listen to it, I think even the most hardcore skeptics, you have to acknowledge there's something terrible going on in that family, in that house. And it's really unsettling when you listen to it. And I just thought that was really amazing. In terms of things that didn't even make it into the movie, there was, this was actually, the movie opens with the exorcism. There was actually a series of attempted exorcisms by various priests. Some of them, straight out of Rome, straight out of the Vatican. It was really fascinating. A total of 6 priests were involved. One of the strangest details that doesn't even make it into the movie is, by the time they got to the trial, they called the priests as witnesses, and not one priest was available to testify. And, they basically, the church put the kibosh on it. And, even with that, your mind is has to ask questions about, why couldn't, the priest testify? It really fascinating stuff. And, that just kind of scratches the surface of what was really an incredible story.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Catholic here as well, so I know what you're talking about. Hey, Michael, everybody watching right now is intrigued and ready for this. Congratulations. Excellent work. And I can't wait to speak with you again, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. It was great seeing you again.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Bye-bye.